online, on demand.
Good afternoon and welcome to WEFM's Midday News, brought to you with the kind compliments of Quartz St. Vincent Limited.
Just in time for the holidays, Quartz is saying you deserve it with its cashback rewards for customers. Shop from October 24th through to November 30th and receive Quartz cashback every time you shop. Plus, when you shop with Quartz Ready Finance, you get double the rewards. You can use your cashback rewards to purchase items for your home or special gifts for him, her, or the kids. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, only at Quartz. Offer valid with minimum purchase amounts. See in-store for details. Conditions apply. Quartz, bringing value home.
Welcome back to WEFM's Midday News, brought to you with the kind compliments of Quartz St. Vincent Limited. I am your presenter, Rajiv Providence. First, on the local scene, work on the temporary Parliament building is progressing well, says Minister of Finance Camilo Gonzalez. He was at the time debating on the excise tax amendment bill during the House of Assembly this week. The Finance Minister said in his visit and consultation with the contractors for the temporary building over the weekend, he took note that they were in the process of installing the roof. We hear more from Minister Gonzalez.
It should please you to know, Madam Speaker, that the temporary Parliament, although it won't be ready for our budget debate, is progressing well. And I was there over the weekend and the contractors are in the process of installing the roof, which I suspect will be more reliable than the roof under which we now operate. And the Honourable Prime Minister said we were going to upgrade this Parliament building. Somebody suggested on the opposition that it was wasted money and that all we needed were a few extra tables and chairs. But now we are seeing what we have been pointing out for a while, that this building is in need of serious repair. And that is the reason why the temporary Parliament building and indeed the permanent Parliament facility is being created, because the building is as we see it.
That was the Minister of Finance, Camilo Gonzalez. According to the Finance Minister, the temporary Parliament building, which is now under construction in the coastal town of Caliacua, will eventually be used as a student hostel. On Sunday, November 20th, 2022, the New Democratic Party hosted its youth convention at the J.F. Mitchell Auditorium at the Democratic House. The convention was celebrated under the theme, My Decision, My Future. Delegates had the opportunity to elect a new executive for the Young Democrats. The elections were conducted by Brenton Smith, the Secretary General of the NDP. The following persons were elected to serve on the new executive: President Vacacia John, Vice President Esteban Hernandez Riches III, Secretary General Kamisha Oliver, and Public Relations Officer Damien D'Souza. In commenting on the newly elected executive, Dr. Friday said he has confidence in the young people elected to serve the party, giving them his full support. Still on the local scene, the president of Cuba is set to make a historic visit to St. Vincent and the Grenadines in December. This was announced by Prime Minister Dr. Rajiv Gonzalez during the sitting of the House of Assembly on Monday. During the state visit, President Diaz-Canel will address Parliament at a formal sitting which will take place on December 5th at 10 a.m. We hear more from the Prime Minister.
I'm proposing that we adjourn until Monday, December the 5th at 10 a.m., not for the purpose of a regular sitting, but a formal sitting, so that we wouldn't have obituaries and questions and the like. A formal sitting for us to have here in this Honorable House a very esteemed visitor, head of state of the Republic of Cuba, President Miguel Diaz-Canel, who is paying a state visit to St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Saturday the 3rd of December, and will be with us until sometime around midday or slightly after midday on December the 5th. So he'll be spending 2 days and a bit with us, and from here he will go on to Barbados to attend the 8th Cuba CARICOM Summit.
That was the Prime Minister, Dr. Rajiv Gonzalez. This will be the first time since the Cuban Revolution in 1959 that a Cuban head of state will visit SVG. On to news in the region. Officers of the Customs Anti-Narcotic Unit (CANU) in Guyana have found millions of dollars worth of cannabis hidden near the sea dam in Berbice. According to a report on November 22nd, CANU officers conducted an operation on the sea dam in number 78 Village Quarantine, Berbice. A thorough search of the area revealed several parcels of suspected cannabis hidden behind a wooden structure located on the said sea dam. Officers made checks around the area in an attempt to identify and apprehend the individuals but were unsuccessful. The suspected narcotics were taken to the CANU Skeldon office, where it was tested for cannabis weighing a total of 79.6 kilograms with a street value of approximately 10 million Guyanese dollars. Investigations are ongoing. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel condemned Western nations for imposing sanctions on Russia following his invasion of Ukraine. In a speech at the State Duma in Russia, Diaz-Canel called for peaceful negotiations to take place between Russia and Ukraine to resolve the conflict. Cuba vigorously condemns the sanctions unilaterally imposed against the Russian Federation. The causes of the current conflict in the region must be sought in the aggressive policy of the US and in NATO's expansion to the borders with the Russian Federation, he said. Diaz-Canel, who is on a state visit to Russia, said Cuba will continue to be a strong ally of Moscow in the face of Western imperialism and aggression. Meanwhile, the leaders of Russia and Cuba have agreed to strengthen ties between both nations. On the international scene, Zion Christian Mission Center, the Biblical Theological Institution of Shijiazhuang Church of Jesus, held a graduation ceremony for the Mission Center's class number 113 in Daegu Stadium on November 20th, 2022. A total of 106,186 people graduated on this day, making it the world's largest graduation from a theological education institution. For safety reasons, the number of people participating in the graduation ceremony in South Korea was limited to 80,000 people. About 300,000 people in total attended the ceremony, and the participants were represented in both online and offline groups. The event was made available on YouTube live broadcast in 9 languages. The event consisted of 2 parts, an opening ceremony and a graduation ceremony. The first ceremony consisted of a worship service, congratulatory speeches, congratulatory messages, representative prayers, and commemorative speeches by Chairman Lee Man-hee. The second ceremony included a congratulatory performance, a congratulatory speech by Tan Yong-jin, the giving of a certificate of completion, a tassel turning on an award ceremony, a testimony from graduates, and a special final performance. Among this year's class graduates, a total of 522 pastors, including 37 Korean pastors and 485 pastors overseas, completed the seminary program. The number of participating pastors has increased significantly as compared to past years. This increase in pastoral participation is closely related to Zion Christian Mission Center's new online class environment that was created due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And finally, in sports, a stunning late comeback from Japan saw 4-time winners Germany fall to a shock defeat in their opening World Cup game in Qatar. Germany dominated a frenetic match for large spells but failed to capitalize on their pressure before Japan caused the Khalifa International Stadium to erupt into a mix of mixed celebration and surprise. Substitute Takuma Asano squeezed in a thumping strike from a tight angle to make it 2-1 to Japan and ran over to the photographers in the corner of the stadium in sheer delight. The equalizer came after a string of stunning saves at each end, Japan's Shushi Konda pulling off a double stop to deny Sergei Gnabry and Jonas Hoffmann before Germany's Manuel Neuer got his fingertips to Junior Ito's effort. Germany, who finished bottom of their group in Russia in 2018, had missed several chances to extend their lead when the score was 1-0. They faced stiff opposition in Group E with 2010 winners Spain to come on Sunday, then a final group game against Costa Rica. This has been WEFM's Midday News. I have been your presenter, Rajiv Providence. Join us again at 3 p.m. for WEFM's 3 p.m. News. WEFM's Midday News is brought to you with a kind compliment of Quartz, St. Vincent Limited.
Always wanted a motorcycle, but they've been too expensive. I pass in on my way to work, and then boom, I see Quartz have motorcycles outside. I'm excited. I get up one day, I go down, I spoke to this guy. I think his name was Sheena, this short, chubby little guy, you know. I purchased 2 bikes so far. It was the 150 SL and the 250 Dragon. This blue, beautiful AKT TT Dragon. This is my baby. I call her Becky. She gives me the best ride ever. My name is Storyboy Nick, and I live to